What's going on, everybody? This is Anthony Goods, co-founder of Swish Cultures and NBA Scout, and I'm joined by another NBA Scout friend of mine, Benas Matkevičius. I hope I said that right. I try to represent America well and pronouncing European names. Especially in the meetings and stuff. You know, uh,
Yeah, you did your thing. You did it. You did all right. That was
I'm
pretty
trying.
good compared. When I heard everything I heard in the States when I was playing, that was like in the past. I don't want to get back to that, and you're pretty far away from that one, so it's pretty good.
No, I'm glad to hear it. I'm sure you hear a lot of people murder these European names when you're
Crushed it.
stateside.
Crushed
Oh,
it.
it's crazy. So,
The
nah,
student
man.
sections, the student sections crushed it.
Yeah. Nah, that's dope, man. Well, nah, I mean, I don't have no title for this, for anybody watching. I don't have a title for this, man. It's just two scouts having conversations about basketball. So, the topic of today and the reason I'm glad Benes could join us today is because on stateside, at least, Matthew Sluka, the quarterback from UNLV, after a 3-0 start, decided to redshirt and forego this year, which caused a lot of stirring because he blamed it on some promises that were not upheld. I saw, I guess, college football Twitter is speculating that another school has offered him and he's going to transfer. So to protect his last year, he's going to redshirt. This has been getting a lot of coverage lately, and it's very interesting. As we'll dive into a little bit here. This was his statement. He said, "I have decided to utilize my redshirt year, and I will not be playing in any additional games this season. I committed to UNLV based on certain representations that were made to me, which were not upheld after I enrolled. Despite discussions, it became clear that these commitments would not be fulfilled in the future. I wish my teammates the best of luck this season and hope for continued success of the program." Aside from just, the statement here, the funny thing is my man had a graphic made. The school didn't give him that graphic, bro. He had a graphic made, which is kind of crazy. Like when you think about it, man, my man went out there, got a graphic made, and decided he was out. And I think the funny thing and the reason I wanted to kind of bring this up is because this, with the whole NIL and with the lack of restrictions in a governing body over the financials, it seems like college football, college basketball, all this is kind of turning into much like we see overseas. But what are your thoughts on this whole situation and the impact that it's going to have just on sports in general moving forward?
Yeah, that's like that example particular, like that's probably one of many or one of a couple at least that we know of, but it's hard to speculate. You don't want to speculate, but if you just use that compared to Europe or compared to, especially what I had a conversation with Tim Fanning now on my podcast was that the expectation level for especially for a rookie coming overseas is a certain kind of picture you paint, and then if the expectation level is not met by one or the other party, you're already on like not very fertile ground, right? So you just
Hmm.
have to you setting your career off on the wrong foot. You kind of going into a direction that kind of you like poisoned a little bit with that bad experience, and then you go into the next experience already thinking like, where are they trying to get me? What's what I'm trying not to try and maybe not to like hold off on the payment a little bit. If there's like 1 day late or 2 days late, it's already because you had that first experience your rookie year where the certain things were not met the way they were painted to you. You're already kind of, it's already the snowball effect starts taking
Hmm.
place. And I remember in particular from in Germany on my first years as a assistant coach. When I was playing, I had to stop playing early for those who don't know. And I was a baller. Like, no, I'm just kidding. But I was like, I was really like high expectation. I had to stop early because of injuries, and then I was being an assistant coach for the team I played for. And then we had rookies coming in, also some experienced players in my first full season as an assistant coach, and some of the experienced players, they already knew the game. They already knew what can happen, what has happened in the past, maybe not with them, but with their teammates and so on. And then we had a mix of American veterans and rookie players. So naturally stories start to go around.
Right.
And I was in the middle of it because I could relate to all of them because I was pretty much Americanized, and we were always mingling. And then, in Germany, the weekend, if the end of the month falls on the weekend, you usually get paid before the weekend just to
That's
make
love.
we're on time. We're
As
doing
it should be. As it should
as it
be.
should be, as it should be. Like, it should be non-negotiable, right? It should be like a natural kind of thing. Not everywhere, though, turns out. So that one was, and then as soon as that weekend falls over and they don't get paid before the weekend, and it maybe it's like 1-2 days cuts into the new month, it's already starting to get like a little bit, like meetings start getting called. Hey, what's up with the payment? And our management was always solid with that, and they gave them a heads up, like, look, we couldn't put in the payment in time for the bank to process it. It's going to fall on Monday. Then if it doesn't fall on Monday, then you got a problem, right? But in that sense, the players were kind of made aware. But still, if it's 1-2 days late, it was already some nervousness creeping in because of those experiences. So if we rewind,
Right.
the first experience, especially for a rookie, is so important to fall on into a good situation where like let's not make this like a huge money making deal, that you make huge promises that you cannot upkeep just to get the player and the recruitment process. And then at the end, you're basically losing the player, and you kind of damage his mindset. That's like, there's a lot of things that I can follow up on, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's such a, I mean, it's a sensitive subject for me. I mean, I played with a number of teams where the money was late, or I just didn't get the money that I was promised. And I think with any player, nobody wants to go through that, And I think that it's a tough decision when a lot of these deals are handshake deals. These aren't contracts when we're talking about NIL. Like, and that, I think that's kind of the difference, I guess, in expectations. I guess the expectations are the same, but that's kind of like the difference between, let's just say, like NIL and what's going on in college, and then like overseas basketball and situations we've been in is like, we put pen to paper, and this is supposed to be upheld by the government or the league or FIBA or somebody. Like, with this NIL, it's like it's handshake deals, and
there's some schools, though. Just to interrupt you real quick, there are some schools that do operate with contracts. I don't want to put one over the other,
right.
but
Yeah, for sure. But some of these are handshake deals, and I think that it's tough, man. It's really tough to navigate because, and I think that that's why a lot of these schools are starting to get GMs, is because, I've heard that there's been a lot of head coaches that really don't know how much money they have NIL wise, but they're going to offer this player X, which sounds exactly like overseas basketball. And it's funny because, like, we're talking about overseas basketball, yet, this happens, and I'm sure in NIL and football, maybe women's basketball and things of that nature, but it's really hard for a player to go into a situation, be his best, develop, do everything the coach asks when he's not getting paid and when he's not, getting the money that he's due. And, I pray that it doesn't get as crazy as some of the situations I've been in where, tomorrow lasts for 3 months, and that payday that's supposed to be tomorrow never comes, and things like that. But it's really an unfortunate situation. And and as far as like the rumors that are floating around, in particular with Matthew Sluka, obviously he's had a great start. I think they're 3-0. He's had a big game last week, but you look at a kid like that who's playing well. Obviously, he probably has aspirations of getting to the NFL, and I think that's probably some of the reason that people are thinking that he has a bigger offer elsewhere, is because why would you leave when you're playing well? Why would you just forfeit your season? But I mean, who knows what it is? Facts. The only thing that I think we know is what he said, and he said that certain expectations were not met, financially. So, I mean, what would you say though in this situation? Is he right or is he wrong?
Again, like we don't know what they agreed on. Like if he has a reason to leave, if he has something that was
okay. Let's say they're short. Let's say they agreed on a number. They're $50,000 short of whatever they'd agreed on. Does he have a right to forego?
He has all the right in the world. I think it's just that it can probably give you a grace period to the team or to the school or whatever, to kind of like, okay, give you until this date. Maybe he already gave it to them. Maybe there was something before that. They were already, like up until now, it should have maybe, been paid, and they give him grace period of those 3 weeks maybe then to the season. So I don't know what I would do in that particular situation, because it is kind of tainted, right? Like, you're, as a college athlete, like, you never got paid. You just kind of play through, and you're just. I had the coach try to make people quit just to get that scholarship. I like run him into the ground until he gives up that scholarship. There's like the opposite effect of that, but there's some of that. I don't, when you're in this situation, you kind of look at it differently. Maybe the competitive edge comes through, and you just want to play. Like, sitting out a year is not easy. Like, you just kind of watching everybody you went through preseason with, and then it just watch them play while you sit on the sideline, which I already had to do when I was in college when I was injured. That's kind of tough. It's not the same situation, but watching your guys your brothers that you go through preseason with, and you just kind of sit out. I feel like, as a competitor, I find it would be hard to do for me. Like, if I'm still getting some things met, like if I'm getting my needs met, if I get my food, get some money, and I'm getting through. And he's probably sure to be an NFL player at some point. Not to be an NFL scout thing. I haven't seen him play, but it's like you're probably sure to make some money. Although I don't know, are the NFL contracts guaranteed by now these days, or is still not guaranteed?
I mean, they're partially guaranteed.
Some parts of it.
Yeah.
So you're still like not sure to really make a whole bunch of money down your career. So you kind of probably relying on some of that money as well. So I'm sure it plays a little bit. It stings a little bit, but as a competitor, I think I would play. I don't know. I find it hard not to see myself playing, especially with my brothers.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think too, one thing I always think of is, because I went through a similar situation. I signed in Italy. That was my first job in Europe, and the team was already 3 months late with payments when I got there, which I didn't know. And so obviously, once I got there, the money that they were supposed to pay me was late. But I think that in that situation, I got so frustrated, so tired of them lying to me and everything else. I ended up leaving the team. And, I was like, oh, I'm just going to sue. And then at the end of the season, the team folded. So there was nothing to sue. So, I left the team, didn't get my money. And looking back on my career, I should have stayed, because everybody that stayed through that situation ended up leveling up. And we know in overseas basketball, it's very much a ladder. And, Serie A Italy was a good league back then. It was a lot of talent in that league. And because I left, now I got to start on a step or two below. And I went to Ukraine the next year. Nobody wanted me to go to Italy, or I wanted to go back to Italy. None of the coaches wanted. And, they were telling my agent, like, yeah, we heard, Anthony got an attitude when the money went bad. And it was true. I mean, I was 24 years old, my first time not getting paid. Like, no, you're not going to tell me anything. You could ask me to run. You could ask me to sprint and dive on the floor. You can't tell me to do anything. And that was the energy I was bringing every day in practice, because they were lying to me. So when I look at Matthew Sluka, like, he's young. And when you're young, you're going to make, rush decisions. You're going to make decisions based on emotion that may not be the best for your career. So it's tough, man. It's a tough situation. And I think that, like, if you have momentum and you're playing well, and this is how I thought later in my career when the same things happened and I wasn't getting paid the money I was promised, it's like, all right, let me just stick through it and play through it and, see what happens. Cause this game is unforgiving. I mean, he could very much go into the off season, be training and blow out a knee, tear an Achilles or whatever, and then he never sees the money that he's going to walk into the next season. Like, a lot of crazy things could happen, which I don't hope that happens for this kid. But, there's something about, being fair to the game and playing and continuing to play when you're hot.
I'm in that camp. Like, I feel the more we talk about, the more I feel about like that, just playing through it, and just even that is like one of those like Jocko Willing, like, talk about good. It's not getting. I'm gonna get paid. Good. I'm gonna show. Have you seen that clip? That good clip? Like, everybody who wants a little bit of motivation, go on YouTube and put in Jocko Willink. Good, just good. Anything that goes bad in the military and the war is like good. All right, this is my artillery broke down. Good. It's good time to clean it up.
Okay, yeah. Actually, I do know what you're talking about.
Anything that goes wrong, you just kind of use that as motivation. It's like, all right, you're not gonna pay me. All right, good. I bet I'm gonna level up and I'm gonna do that even better. This time it didn't work out. Good. I'm gonna just keep on going to gym. And I'm gonna keep on shooting my shots. And it reminds me of Jerry Seinfeld commencement speech too. Another, guys, I'm just throwing YouTube links at here. Let's go to YouTube and go to YouTube. Just Jerry Seinfeld commencement speech at Duke this year. This like end of last in May, I guess it was, commencement speech. And I just heard that on Tim Ferriss, and I just went to YouTube the other day and looked it up. And he was talking about the money part at the end of the speech. So if you just want to skip through everything, I recommend everybody watch the whole thing. But he was towards the end of the speech, he was talking about money, like put the money to the side a little bit, just a little bit in the beginning, when you're young, like you say, put it to the side just a little bit. It will come. It will be made at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You will make the money. You will earn it. Go to a job that's fun. In the beginning, have fun. And by the way, being a basketball player is probably one of the most fun jobs you can have.
100%.
It's one of the fun lifestyles in terms of you playing the sport you want to play. You always wanted to play. You're a professional player overseas. You don't aim it's not necessarily always about the NBA. Like you make it as a pro. It's the same thing in high school. You get a scholarship in college. Like that's great. Like you're in college. You're a college athlete. You're a student athlete. That's get step by step. And that's what's the same thing with the contract. Like get the first contract. Get a good soft landing spot. And we're going to talk about the agent part as well.
Mm-hmm.
The responsibility that the agent carries in terms of putting in a situation where the rookie has a good landing spot. And then if you're having fun, you're in a good competitive situation, you get to play, you get to showcase your skills, you're not put in the cage, you're in a good situation, you make enough money to save up and to have for the first year to have a good experience. Then you're going to level up and you're going to keep leveling up because you had a good first year. You had fun. You were competing. Hopefully you were winning. Hopefully you stayed healthy. And then things start to unravel from there. I think it's much easier if you just play, just shut up and dribble.
Basically. I mean, I think it's, I think there is some benefit to just playing the game and, just trying to ignore the outside noise. And I think, one thing I think we're all kind of ignoring is okay, maybe they were short, but I doubt he was not going to get paid. Like he was going to get his money. You know what I'm saying? He was going to get some money. You know what I mean? It's not like he was going to leave with nothing, So, I mean, but we'll see. But, you alluded to it. And, my question is how much of this falls on the agent? And I think, we talk about this a lot being on our side of basketball, in regards to, either the kid making the wrong decision or the agent pushing the kid in the wrong to the wrong situation. But how much is a situation like this, whether in football or basketball, how much of this do you think falls on the agent?
I think there's a good part of that, and almost in the camp of holding myself accountable first. But there's no way a rookie knows where to go or what to do. So the agent has a big responsibility in terms of finding the right spot and having the right context. If you're not a European-based agent, to have the right context in Europe to guide you through the landscape of where to go, which team, which player, which coach to play for, what role he's going to have, what kind of style is the coach playing, what kind of team is he going to go to? Is that financially viable? Is that a contract that's really legit, that I'm going to get paid and I'm going to get paid on time and not going to have to worry about it? And like I said, less is more in the beginning, and then you can build off that because it sets a good foundation for your career if you just play step by step. And the agent, and that I'm not on a coaching staff right now and on a national team, but we as coaches, we do hold the players accountable, right? And the coaches, they get held accountable by the management in clubs, by everybody else. The players hold the team doctors accountable for their injuries. There's a whole bit. Somebody holds accountable. Held somebody accountable. Somebody's going to have to keep the agent and hold him accountable too, and the player. I don't like the flip-flopping around. I don't like the changing agents all the time and jumping around, because as a player, you got to hold yourself accountable first of all. But then if you are in a situation, there has to be some sort of like communication in terms of where are we going? Is that the right thing? Can you do your due diligence in order to know where you're going to land, and then you can rehash it once the things starts hitting the fan. So you gotta have to, like, communication with the agent is very important in this aspect.
Yeah, nah, for sure. And I think too, it's up to the player to also, like you said, do their due diligence and do your own homework. If you know players that have been there, reach out, especially on Instagram. It's so easy to get in touch with people these days, and especially. Okay, on a basketball team, you got 12 people that know what's going on. On a football team, you got 100. So somebody's going to respond to that DM. So it's like, I mean, you can find out what's real and what's not, because there are schools out there that are promising money that they can't, fulfill. And I think I always tell, some of my young friends that, are playing overseas or whatever it is, like, research the coach, research the team, use your network, and try to get in touch with as many people as possible before you put your name on a piece of paper and say you're going to go to a particular situation. Because as we know, overseas, one bad situation, you're going to end up leaving the team, or they're going to cut you. And now you take a step down. You're not signing for the same money. So you take a hit financially, you take a hit career-wise. And then if you're young, you take a hit on the development side, you know what I mean? Which is crazy. And I think that's the most important piece of this whole thing, whether we're talking about Matthew Sluka or we're talking about a host of, just basketball players in general, any athlete. I think the development piece, by choosing the wrong situation, is huge. And it's so impactful on a kid's career.
It's real. It's a real thing that early on, we're always looking for those. That's early stage of development, and in terms of where they get to play, how much of their skill are they able to showcase, what situation do they find themselves in. I think that's what I'm saying, like, play it, like, less is more. Just play it. Just don't worry about the money in the beginning. Just look at where you're going to land and where you're going to play, where you're going to get developed, what kind of coaching staff, what kind of development staff do they have, what are the facilities like, can I get in the gym anytime, or is there like a certain time? Do we share that gym with other sports where I can't get in there? Because there's some gyms there in lower divisions, we're not talking about like the high level, but if there's lower level in Europe, there's like the gyms are being used and shared by schools and by other teams as well, before you, after you. So you have only a certain time slot allocated, and sometimes you're practicing at the same time with a divider in the gym, and then you just got to find out that you're like, I've been through that too, man. I've seen a lot. So those things have to be aligned, and you got to know, is the gym going to be available to me? Because your development has to be a priority. Your opportunity to play, to shine, and to level up the following year or the year after that, because the time span of a career is not that super long. So if you come in as a rookie after college, you're 23, maybe, like 22, 23, you're probably given a go in the G League. If you're up to that level, if you're lower level, you come in straight away. If you're in college, you had a red shirt, 23, 24, we're talking about like 10 to 14 years, maybe, like at the high end, like late 30s, you're good if you made it that far. So those things have to be, it's crucial, and those first years are very crucial for development.
Yeah, nah, for sure, man. And I think back to, I remember I signed in Germany with John Patrick one year, unfortunately, and and it was
back,
the point.
Baby.
Oh God, I know, I know. Good luck, anybody out there signing in Ludwigsburg. Good luck. But I remember, like, I was finally starting to, get to the point where I was like making more money than I had ever made. Like, I was in the 130, 140 range. And man, I spent so much money during the summer on training. I was playing amazing. Even in training camp, I was playing amazing, shooting, everything was going perfect. And then I run into a coach that I shouldn't have signed with. He ends up cutting me. And I spent the next 2 months, waiting on a job and working out by myself, at a park. And, it just never, I lost all that development I had from the summer. So then I go and I sign in Israel, but now I'm signing for, you go from making like, let's say like 13 a month to 8 a month, you know what I'm saying? Just because of choosing a bad situation. You end up losing, let's say, $40,000 or whatever it may be. So, I look at all these situations, man, as like, it's just so important to make sure, you're getting into the right situation. And if you go into the right situation and you just play like crap, that's on you. And then you can live with that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of players probably still blame their agent, but at the end of the day, it's on you. But I just see a lot of players just making bad decisions, man, and it sucks, man. It really does. But
the surroundings matter. The surroundings matter. Like I said, I'm in the camp of holding yourself accountable. You as a player have to make your due diligence. First of all, you got to have the right people around you too, to give you the right advice, to listen. Not the ones that are looking for their own needs to be met, but somebody who's going to be real to you. And the ones that are being maybe painfully real, those are probably the realest people that you need to have around. So I think that you got to do your work. You got to make sure that you're online with everything that you did. You got to have a clear conscience about your work, and that what did you do and cut corners, and then have the right people around you to advise you the right way, to point you in the right direction, keep you humble. And then you build it up step by step. Go grind it out one day after another. Have the right people around you to tell you where to go, and then it's gonna happen.
Yeah, nah, that's a fact. And I think staying on this topic of keeping the right people around you, choosing the right agents. I'm not sure if you saw this headline, but maybe you could shed some light on this for us. But there was an article in Basket News. My other brother's from Lithuania, my second favorite. But Bosnia basketball team houses one player in penitentiary. Now this is crazy to me that this would happen. Like, immediately when I saw this, I'm thinking like, yo, who was this kid's agent? Because I mean, there has to be other housing options. I just can't see a world where it's like, look, you're coming to a team and they're telling me, yo, I'm about to really go. I'm about to really.
Well, you gotta come to practice. You gotta come to practice.
First of all, how does the agent even explain this to a player? Like, look, I got you a spot on the team, but you're gonna have to you living in a jail. You're living in a literal jail for the next 8 months, 9 months, 10 months.
It's gonna keep you humble, brother. It's gonna keep you humble. You're gonna just come in the practice grinding. And now I don't know, man. I didn't see that one. That's a tough one. I don't know how to. That's what communication that there must have been no communication been had. So I'm a little bit perplexed by that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's one of the craziest stories I've heard. Like, I've heard a lot of crazy stories, especially at the lower levels of overseas basketball, of like, 4 guys in a 2-bedroom and like all these situations that sound pretty uncomfortable, or like, there's roaches, there's all kind of things that goes on. But I've never heard this one. This is crazy. Like, this is legit. This is legit one of the craziest stories that I've heard.
Yeah.
But I really, and it's funny because in the article, I'm about to pull this back up because you guys see.
What would you do? What would you do as a player? You find yourself in the penitentiary.
Oh, I'd be like, hell no, I'm getting out of here. But look at this part. They said that initially, announcement claimed that multiple players will be housed in the facility. However, the statement was edited 3 days later that just one player would receive this kind of favor.
Favor.
Yeah,
that's a big time favor, brother. That's something that he should appreciate.
A favor. Like, yo, like this is you can't make this up. I want to know who it is.
I wonder. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder, like, if he's that penitentiary part, if that's just like a side house that's attached to it. Like,
Yeah,
like
they say it's at a restaurant, but then it says it has 26 beds. You know what I mean? Like they say it's at a
a hostel.
restaurant.
It's a penitentiary hostel. Maybe the hostel is called like that, penitentiary.
No, well, I don't know. It says penitentiary, and they say it's next to a restaurant. And I mean, the article is hilarious, bro. Like it says, I'm gonna show you another piece of it that I thought was funny. At the bottom, it says the facility also has a locksmith, a furniture factory, and a printing house. Let's make sure the inmates don't get cool with that locksmith, or we're gonna have another problem. But I
Oh
mean,
my god.
this is crazy, man. The player will live in the facility's Drina restaurant, which has 26 beds. That still sounds like a jail to me. Um,
And free food. So
hey,
we
maybe.
used to have guys living in the same apartment complex in Germany. Everybody's in the
Mhm.
same, and a lot of teams do that. And then you get one free meal a day, sometimes two. So depending on your contract, and you're gonna get a lot of free meals in that penitentiary. There, it's just I don't know the quality of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if free meals is enough. And who wants to eat jail food? Like, what kind of
No, that's
restaurant in there? You know what I mean? What are they making in there? Like, I'm cool, man. I'm cool on that whole situation. Like, I mean, I think even just getting picked up for practice and whatnot on a day to day has got to be rough. They're not letting just anybody pull up in there. Like, this is a crazy situation when you think about it. But more power to him, man. If he's able to ignore the BS around him, play well, and upgrade his situation, which I hope for all players. But if anybody can find out who that kid is, I really want to know because I want to interview him. I would love to talk to him because
just
that's a wild situation.
he's listening to a lot of Jocko Willing. Good,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good.
good. Locksmith not there today.
Good.
Good, good.
Let's hope not, man. Let's hope not, man. But before we close out, man, share some words of wisdom, man, for the aspiring NBA scouts out there.
Man, there's a lot. I get that question in different in one form or another a lot. Like what's the wisdom there for young aspiring NBA scouts or scouts in general, and then the one thing that I always come to conclusion with is that there's no one path. And I was talking to
Mhm.
somebody today, like I wasn't aiming, I wasn't angling for this job. I was never angling for it, and I think that's what made it attractive. I probably should take that as a dating advice too. I should probably just not really like don't chase it that hard. Just be good at what you do it with a sparkle in your eyes, be excited about it, enthusiastic, whatever you do. People see that you're passionate about what you're doing, and then automatically it's going to gravitate teams towards you. May not be, maybe a EuroLeague team, maybe doesn't necessarily have to be an NBA team, but that's how you level up, like piece by piece. I mine was like timing, it was just kind of meeting the right person at the right time, and if I would have sat on a different side of the court that one day, I probably never would have met my current boss. So it's kind of those things kind of align. But I think that because I was never angling for it, I never was desperate, or I didn't look desperate. I was not really. I was worried about doing my own job right. I was scouting players at that time when I was still at Ceska, and I was just kind of watching young guys and just doing it from my own due diligence just to know what's coming up. Then I was working with the national team. I was just locked in on what I was doing, and that one thing led to another, and just kind of the context just grew, and at some point just made yourself attractive, or you put yourself in position, because first of all timing was right, second of all you did your work, and third of all you're just excited to be alive and to be working in basketball. And then one thing leads to another, doors open up, and sometimes you're ready for it, but the doors don't open up, just because the timing is not right. But jobs don't open up. And so just being patient, doing your thing, not being desperate, not angling for it because people sniff it out, people feel it,
Mhm.
So it's just kind of just do your thing, whatever you're doing, be in the now, don't be in the tomorrow.
Hey, and And then when you look back on all that, and you're an NBA champion now, man. Congrats.
Thank
You're
you.
an
Thank you.
NBA champ, man. And it's funny, man. It's funny because, like, we say that, and obviously, yeah, somebody could look at the situation like, okay, the front office doesn't put the ball in the basket. You know what I mean? But I think that after all the meetings and understanding everything that goes into, just making one decision, and even if you spend days talking about a player and y'all never end up getting him, or y'all never end up drafting this kid, like every conversation, everything that we do, every report, leads to somebody having a thought, or maybe going in one direction or going the other direction. And I think each of those steps end up making the team what it is. So, I think that, just having that opportunity, as long as it took, to win an NBA championship or be part of that organization, man, that's a dope experience, man. So, I know you appreciate it. I know you're very present, but I mean, I think that's what we all do this for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely cherished that one. I didn't sleep for 38 hours. I didn't want that day to end. Like literally, I didn't tell you that story. That
Uh-uh.
was I mean we finished with the I don't even talk about the game. Like that the game
Mhm.
was one thing. Like that the party finished at 5 o'clock, and my brother and me just continued on, like looking for a breakfast spot downtown Boston. Then we went into this diner. That's the only diner that's open 24 hours. End up on a local news, by the way, like Forrest Gump, like just randomly walking in a diner and just end up in the local news. Then from there, took my brother to the hotel, and I washed up. And then we had draft workouts that day, so I kind of got it early. I was just kind of, because the draft workout was not till like I think 1, and I got there like at 10 or 11, and nobody was there, just talking to the janitor. With the janitor, we just had a conversation of a lifetime. Just that it was just cool. We just sat down and just had
Mhm.
just a cool talk in the morning where nobody's around, and the day after the championship, and we just had really, it was a cool experience. And then we had, after draft workout, meet up with my brother, drag it out until evening, and then I went to sleep at 9 o'clock or something like that. I was knocked out, but I was so excited. I didn't want the day to end because it's just so amped up, the whole adrenaline. And then once it hits you, like you just I was crashing at night. But it was something that, like you said, I was waiting for it for a long time. It's been, I was there since the beginning. Everybody got there a year before I got there,
Mhm.
and it was 10 years in the making. And there was a lot of times where we were close, a lot of heartbreak, and that at the end of the day, that's why it's even more so sweet, because everybody was there that you built it with, you were there together with. It was going through all the meetings, talking, and everybody you grew together, basically have them around you, was priceless.
Yeah, nah, that's dope, man. That being said, I'm not wishing you to win this year, but I'm glad you got one. I'm glad you got one. One is enough for you, man. One is enough
Check
for
your
you.
Instagram. I tag you on
Nah,
something. Check it.
I
Check
seen it right before we
it.
logged on. I seen it right before we logged on. I got beef with Jalen Brown too. I got beef with him too. 30 points on the. All right, we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. But nah, man, it's been dope rapping with you, man. We gonna hop on tomorrow. We got more scouting topics to discuss tomorrow, man. But appreciate you hopping on. Everybody back on the other side of the screen, please like, subscribe, you know, show a little support, man. We're just some lonely guys, man, that just love basketball. So show a little support, man, and we'll catch y'all tomorrow.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, Anthony.
All good.